Hello, this video is about sentences. So the most important thing when you're writing sentences is that you have a complete sentence. And I know you guys have learned this before, but for some reason it's still challenging for 6th graders. So I really want you to pay attention to this video. A complete sentence must have a subject, and that would be a noun. It's who your sentence is about, and it must have a verb. So the subject, who or what, it's telling who you're talking about or what you're talking about in the sentence. And then the verb tells what that thing is or what that thing is doing or what that person is doing. So you have to have a who or what, and you have to have a is and doing or did something in your sentence. This would be the subject and the verb. So a lot of times people ask me, well, two words cannot be a sentence. But if we look at these examples here, I cried. So who are we talking about here? It's I. And what did I do? I cried. So even a 2-word sentence is acceptable as long as you have that subject and the verb, who you're talking about, and then whatever's going on. Okay? So here in this case, I is the subject, that's who we're talking about, and then cried, that's the action, that's the verb, that is what is being done. Okay? So in this next example, she is sad. Who are we talking about? We're talking about she, and what is she doing? She is sad. Okay? So is here is not an action, but it is a being verb. It's I am being sad. So is the verb in this case. And then down here, a lot of people get confused because if there's more than one noun in the sentence, then they're not quite sure what to do. So in this case, we have 2 nouns, person, place, and thing, if you remember, is a noun. Water is a noun, and then floor is a noun. So let me read you the sentence here. The water overflowed onto the floor. So who or what are we talking about? We are talking about the water. And then what did the water do? The water overflowed. So a lot of people will say, oh, the subject is the floor. Well, is the floor doing something? No, nothing happened really with the floor. What we're talking about is that the water overflowed. The water is having the action. Overflowed would be the action. So the opposite of a complete sentence would be a fragment. Fragments are not complete sentences. The girl across the street with purple shoes, this is missing something. Ran across the street before jumping the fence, this is also missing something. So we're going to talk about the parts of the sentence. You have to have who or what, and then what they're doing. So let's look here at the first example, and I'm going to explain it, and then I want you to write down what's missing. So right here, who are we talking about? We're talking about the girl. It's the girl across the street with purple shoes. This entire phrase is describing who. It's describing what girl? It's the girl who lives across the street with purple shoes. But it's missing something. It's missing the action. What about the girl across the street with purple shoes? What about her? It doesn't tell us. So this is an incomplete sentence or a fragment. Now this sentence down here is the opposite. It's also missing something, but it's missing the opposite. Ran across the street before jumping the fence. So we clearly have an action. What's going on? Well, ran, that would be the action. And then it describes how the running happens. Ran across the street before doing something else, jumping the fence. But it has no subject. It does not tell us who is running across the street, and it doesn't tell us who's jumping the fence. So this part is missing the subject. It's missing the who or what. So both examples are fragments. These are not complete sentences. You have to have both pieces, who or what, is or did something. You have to explain who it is you're talking about and then what they are doing or what they are, like the girl is sad. So one of those two is required. Some other information about sentences. You all know this, but you struggle to do it still. Sentences must always have a capital letter.
Will you call the office?
Sentences must always have a capital letter at the beginning, and they must have a period or another punctuation mark at the end. Most of our sentences need periods at the end, but there are cases where you might need a question mark or an exclamation mark. But you have to have capitalization and punctuation. We're in 6th grade now, so you sure should be able to have this. I know it's taught in kindergarten and 1st grade and all the way through, so we're going to start taking off for this if we're not seeing it in your classwork. So your task on your notes, I want you to write one complete sentence. In the sentence, you'll know it's complete because it will have the subject and the verb. I want you to circle the subject, that's the who or what, and then I also want you to underline the verb. That would be is, are, was, were, one of those being verbs, or what is happening, that so-and-so did something, or an action that's taking place. So make sure that you have both. I'm also going to check for capitalization and punctuation, so make sure you have that too.